For more on how the conflict in Ukraine is affecting energy in Europe, I'm joined now by Ted Nace. He is the Executive Director at Global Energy Monitor. Ted, thanks so much for joining us here today. Now, there's been a lot of concern that there'll be an energy shortage in the EU, but countries there have been very successful in storing large amounts of energy over the summer, and now wholesale prices of gas have dropped significantly. Does this mean that Europe is out of the woods?
Yes, I think Europe is doing quite well. Gas prices are actually down by 70 cents since August, and storage is full of gas. They're at 90% of capacity, so they have lots of gas available going into the winter. And it really looks like the attempt to blackmail Europe on gas has not worked.
But there is a major concern that as the demand into the winter months starts to pick up, particularly that they've had unseasonably warm weather of late, and there has been a strong, holding back in terms of consumption. There's a major concern that come January, February, Europeans might not be in such a good position. What is the plan, and what do you think might happen come the depths of winter?
There's no doubt that prices are going to go up a bit. The futures for January are 40% higher than they are for November. So prices will go up, and they'll go up a bit more if there's a cold winter, and probably less if there's a warm winter. So that's already baked into the cards. But what's really the miscalculation here by Putin is that the lack of a recognition that Europe was already on track to significantly reduce their gas use. And so what's happened, they're actually already down by 22% in their overall fossil fuel use versus 2006. And the Europe Fit for 55 program aims to bring Europe down in fossil fuel use by 55% by 2030. So a lot of analysts are saying that what's happened because of the war is just to accelerate this trend that's already underway in Europe.
Now, Europe's high storage levels, of course, as you said, were a large extent achieved by by Russian gas. But obviously now that those supplies have severely been disrupted, Europe also has an ambition to go, without Russian gas completely in the future. How might Europe be able to do this, do you think? What are some of the options for them to fulfill this ambition?
Right. So one of the realities is that Europe actually always got more gas from the combination of Norway and Algeria than they did from Russia. And so those suppliers have increased a bit. But the really big change in Europe, the reason they're able to move away from gas is that this decrease that's happened since 2006, about 2/3 of that is by efficiency gains, and about 1/3 of that is from the growth in renewables, wind and solar. The thing that's going to really change the picture going forward is that solar and storage prices are plummeting around the world. And investments in renewable energy are now vastly exceeding investments in fossil fuels. So that trend is now, any kind of high price environment around fossil fuels is just accelerating that trend.
Now, if the war drags on for another year, how will Europe fare next winter, do you think? And how firm will the commitment of the EU public remain?
Well, the first year is the tough year, and that's the year we're in now. Getting through the first year is really the entire challenge, because every year so many more renewables are deployed in Europe and so much more energy efficiency is being manifested in the European economies that gas is becoming less and less of a factor. So I'd say if they can just make it through this year, and it looks like they can, next year really shouldn't be that hard. The other thing is that this is turning out to be, for Russia, is an economic blunder in another way, because Russian exports to Europe are pipeline exports. So they can't simply divert that to Asia without building LNG terminals, which allows them to transport their gas by sea. LNG terminals take 3, 4, 5 years to build. So Russia has basically cut itself off from being able to sell its gas, at least for the next few years.
Right.
So, yeah, they've made up for that by having high prices for a while, so their revenues haven't really gone down. But as the entire world adjusts to this new reality, that will also change. So for Russia, this has just not been a smart gamble.
Okay, Ted, thank you very much for your time. Ted Nace for us, Executive Director at Global Energy Monitor.